Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to discuss about the fundamental unit of life, the class 9th biology first chapter. So before entering the chapter, let us understand what the title of the chapter means, right? So here only one thing we have to understand, that is the fundamental. So what do you mean by fundamental? Here according to this chapter, fundamental means the basic unit of life where nothing below that there is no existence of life. So we'll try to know what is it, right? So for example, before entering, let me tell you one thing. Like in earlier chapter, like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 2, you have discussed about atom molecule, right? What are they? They are the basic and fundamental unit of matter, like atom, and from their molecules, right? Sorry for the inconvenience. Like from atoms, right? And since molecules, right? And from molecules we get compounds or element. Remember, compounds or elements, if we mix this, we will get mixture, right? Then their type solution. These are the fundamental of, these are comes from non-living things. So what about living? Our question is that, right? What is the living? What is the fundamental unit of living thing? So today we'll discuss about that. So what we will discuss today, what is the fundamental unit of life, about discovery. In this discovery we'll look who discovered, how the discovery took place, and when it get discovered. Okay, we'll just look at the three things: how and yes, and when. We'll look all these things, and the also we'll look at from where the word extracted, because if someone discovers something, have to name it also, right? So from where the scientists extracted the name, we'll see that. Then we'll go deep into the structure of fundamental life, and we'll analyze all those things. Don't worry, I will tell you the meaning of organelles, what are they. will I will tell you in detail. There is a brief account of organelles in your chapter. Then we will look about, like, how many types of there. Okay, because one more, I think that there is two types. One is unicellular and other is multicellular. Sorry, I'm going deep into the chapter. And multicellular, right? So we'll discuss what is it, and how I will tell you what is the meaning of cellular, what is see what in biology. To understand topic, analyze the word that given, break the word, you will understand understand what they're trying to convey. All right. Then we'll go to what is the structural organization, how it is, why we are calling it as structural organization. Here we are calling it as fundamental unit. So what is the difference? And remember, listen all the topic very carefully, because it is necessary for you. And from this topic there is a question in the NCRT, so I will tell you, try to write it on your own, and we will discuss in the next class the answer of that question. Okay, so let us begin about from the discovery. Okay, here goes discovery. So Vijay, this discovery I will tell you like a story, because your years are given, name of the person given, how they discover. If you try to remember it now, it will be difficult for you. So try to understand it as a story, it will be very easy for you to remember. So it was the year of 1966. At that time we haven't born, right? In this year there is a scientist named Robert Hooke, right? Robert Hooke, discover cell. Now the question is, what is cell, right? How did they discover, right? Why we call it cell only? There are so many questions arises, right? So let's see. Here I told you the year 1665. Remember it. Who discovered Rover 2? What he discovered? Cell. Now, cell we call is the structural fundamental unit of life. All right. Now, what is structural fundamental unit of life? Why we call it? Let us see. Before that, let us see how he discovered. But at that time, now there was no well-developed microscope, so he used a primitive microscope. Okay, primitive microscope. Now, what do you mean by primitive? It is the old type of microscope, you can say. Okay, so this, with the help of this microscope, because we can go very deep into something, we can, like, we can examine something, but not what in a very microscopic level. It is very difficult to see what's inside that, right? So it is not that much easy to go more into cell, because we'll go deep into the cell, what is the thing beneath it. So it took time, not just in that year or 2 to 3 years after. It took a long time. Okay, so primitive microscope is a old type of microscope. Here he oak tree. Okay, from this tree he took the slice. Okay, the slice of the oak tree, which is called bark of the tree. Bark of the tree. So what is the bark of the tree? Let me tell you. Suppose this is the tree. An oak tree is a very big tree. In big tree, you can take the example of banyan tree. The outermost part, which is the shaded part of that, the long branch, get out and detached from that. So he took this part of the oak tree. Okay. So what he did, took this bark of the tree into the microscope, and he try to analyze it, because in microscope we can see the depth of thing which is in the microscopic level, but not as much as electron microscope do. Okay, so here he see a structure. Suppose this is the bark of the tree, I'm drawing the microscopic. What robot took, see exactly. Here you see the structure like that. You must have seen that the honeycomb, right? Structure where the honey bees are, how the house of honey, right? The structure similarly looks like this, right? So he called it as honeycomb comb like structure. And these are, you can see, these are the compartment. We can call the compartment as room, right? These are the compartment, or we can call it as the room. So in Latin the job call the compartment and room is called is cell. This is the Latin word. Okay, so from this, the name of the the fundamental unit of life is cell. Got it? How, when, how, discover, and from where the name came, right? So now let's move further. Here you might be thinking that what is electron microscope and what is the primitive microscope. So let me clear, right? Primitive microscope is used before 1940. Okay, because in 1940 electron microscope developed. And one more thing, whenever we see the word primitive, it means old, ancient, traditional. Okay, so it is less developed as compared to electron microscope. We can go very deep into the cell and analyze, because that's why it took so many years to see that is anything present inside the cell. Is cell is final, like in atom what we see. Atom, here we see proton, neutron and electrons are revolving, right? So like this, that there is sub atomic particles are present, right? So is there anything present inside the cell? How is the structure, how is the working? Because see how, because in living organism there is a division of labor take place, right? So there is must be division of labor, like digestion system is different, excretion system is different, everything is different in our body. So and it is because it's a structural and fundamental unit of life. Like everything in our body is made up of cell, right? Now we are getting it. And so for the existence there must be something, and the functions that is in living reaction or cellular reaction that taking place inside the cell. But it is hard to think or recognize or identify all this thing at a time when there is, with the help of primitive microscope it is not possible. So in 1940 there is a discovery of electron microscope. All right, now let us move ahead. Now there is about in living, like you can take cheek. I think the color is not visible, right? Okay, change the color. This, like there is, you can take cheek cell, and other is onion peel cell. Why I'm saying onion cell? All right. So why I'm saying it, because these two are living cell, like living things, right? Cheek cell, that is from your face, right? And this is from human, and this is comes and from human, and this is from plant. So both are like living cells. So we can check that is it really cell is the structural and fundamental unit of someone said. Can we believe as such? We have to experiment once ourselves that yes, it is really exist. So if you go and see in the microscope, okay, you'll find that there is cell. These structures are this basic building unit, fundamental unit, structural unit. The same thing we call this to cell, right? Okay. Now let us go and look at the discovery, which call us about the discovery, right? So here it's given about few sub, like inside, like organelles. Okay, so I think before telling you discovery I should aware about the organelles, right? So here, um okay, so let us see about organelles. So organelles present inside the cell. Okay, Let's suppose this is your cell. Okay, here the nucleus. Okay, this is the nucleus, and this outer membrane is the plasma membrane, and also you can call it as cell membrane. Okay, cell membrane, and between this there is a liquid form called as the cytoplasm. Okay, and one more thing, remember that inside the nucleus there is a liquid matrix present, which we call is that nucleoplasm. Okay, for now have information of this much thing. With moving the chapter, I will introduce you the more cell organelles. Alright. So now going into the discovery. You know, Robert discovered the dead cell, but there is a scientist named Leeuwenhoek. But this, remember, cell discovered for the very first time was a dead cell, which discovered in 1665 by Robert Hooke, and from where oak tree, bark of the oak tree. Okay, Leeuwenhoek discovered the living cell. Okay, living cell in 1674. Now you might be thinking that dead cell, living cell, is there anything different? I will tell you what is the difference in them in the following lecture, right? 1964. Then Robert Brown. Robert Brown in 1831 discovered nucleus. Then Perkin G in 1839 discovered protoplasm. Here let me tell you what is the difference between protoplasm, cytoplasm, nucleoplasm. I have already told you about nucleoplasm and cytoplasm. Here see. Mm, Nucleoplasm is something which is present inside the nucleus, and cytoplasm is the matrix between plasma membrane and nuclear membrane. Okay, but and we together cytoplasm plus nucleoplasm called as protoplasm. All right. Okay. Now protoplasm, and then in 1855, Virchow is a scientist who expanded did cell theory, or he like introduced new like the cell theory was changed again in 1855, and as I told you in 1940 electron microscope discovered, and here he discovered in pond water. Okay? Pond water. Here something I will tell you that what is cell theory. Let me explain you about cell theory. Like scientist Sheldon and Swan who gave you the cell theory. Sheldon done in 1838, and Swan in 1839. They formulated cell theory, but they did not tell us like what they said. The structural and fundamental unit of life. Every plant and animal consists of cell. Okay, cell and cell consist of cell, but they did not tell us about how the cell arises, right? From where they are coming. So this question, like where from where cell arise, this question answered by Virchow, whatever you can, in 1855. According to Virchow, he said that cell arises from the pre-existing cell. So if there is already a cell present, it divides, okay, and make two cells. This is like from one cell to cell rise, from this another, and these are the process. And there is a division also. There is a type of division. Will not go depth into it now. It's not necessary. Just remember that all from pre-existing cell. So few topics were unable to cover today. We'll cover it in the next session. Like we'll start from uh, like where I have written here. Like in the next session, we'll start from here, types of cell structure. Okay. So see you in the next session. Bye bye.